Magandang gabi everybody. Good evening po sa inyong lahat. Magandang gabi. And welcome sa ating day number 2 or should I say night number 2 ng Prof. Ed Coaching or Mini Coaching. Now, sige, bati muna tayo sa ating mga viewers for tonight. Magandang gabi po kila Russell. And Russell, salamat po sa pag-share ng video sa mga kaibigan ninyo. Kay Ma'am Tiffany, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Kay Ma'am Ellen Lhester, hello po. Now mga kaibigan, pa-share naman po sa ating mga social media platforms ang ating link para mapanood po ng mga nangangailangan. Lalo na po na malapit na ang board exam for teachers na mangyayari sa September 26 na I think based on the information available, so far po ito ay tuloy pa. Ito ay tuloy pa sa September 26. Kaya naman yung mga teachers, I think punta na kayo sa PRC website para malaman nyo ang mga details kung ano kailangan nyo handa at ang mga kailangan nyo gawin. So ayan. Now my dear friends, magandang gabi. Pa-share po sa ating mga social media platforms. Kay Sir James, magandang gabi. Kay Shell. Tatlong Shell yun. Kay Ma'am Mary Grace Kapili, magandang gabi. Patype na rin po kung saan kayo galing. From Cebu, from Borongan, Giwan, kung saan man. Kay Ma'am MJ, magandang gabi po. Sabi ni Tiffany, hi, hello Sir EJ from Cebu. Maayong gabi sa mga taga Cebu, mga kaibigan. At andito rin po ang isa kong kaibigan na si Romel Maglaya. Hi Romel, magandang gabi sa iyo. Thank you for watching. Naging guest natin ito sa isa sa mga hybrid program natin. Si Lisel, andyan din. At tinatag niya lang kanilang mga kaibigan. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Please, itag niyo na and invite them to watch our live for this evening. At ngayong gabi, magbabalik po si Sir Englevert Reyes para ituloy ang kanyang lecture. Plus, with us is Sir Knoi na magtuturo naman ng Facilitating Learner-Centered Teaching. At syempre si Sir Marc na merong subject na Technology for Teaching and Learning. Hi po Ma'am Jill. Hi Ma'am May Tubalias. And hi Ma'am Gemma. Hi kay Jay. At syempre, nasa chat room natin si Ma'am Jen. Hi Ma'am Jen, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Hi Ma'am Jill. Ayan, Mayap Abengi po Sir EJ. Watching from Concepcion, Tarlac. O, sa mga taga Tarlac, magandang gabi. Did I say it right? Ayan, then syempre dyan si Gemma. Hello Gemma. Then sabi ni Shell, galing siya from Camarines Sur. Nako, ang layo Camarines Sur. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Ayan. Magandang gabi sa inyo. And please don't forget to subscribe also sa ating YouTube channel, ang Met Review Center sa YouTube. Subscribe nyo, i-like nyo, and then i-hit nyo rin ang notification bell. Doon nyo mapapanood ang ating mga coaching na nagaganap from parang in the past months. At syempre, yung mga videos and about the Let Review. So ayan, meron pa tayo dito from Oriental Mindoro, si Ma'am Mary Grace Kapili Moral. Magandang gabi sa mga taga Oriental Mindoro. Ayan. Salamat daw sa pag-mention. Tama. So i-mention mga kaibigan at i-share yung page natin. And my dear friends, I would want to take this opportunity para i-invite kayo mga kaibigan sa September 10 hanggang September 21 ang ating CUT. CUT sessions ay magaganap na ang ating Competence Upgrade Technique sessions. Ito ay magaganap mula September 10 hanggang September 21. Now dito, we would teach you some test-taking skills na magagamit nyo sa September 26. Kaya enroll na mga kaibigan. For more information, punta lang po sa ating Facebook page dito sa, syempre, ang Met Review Facebook page. So kaya, bati pa tayo. Ma'am, how po ang CUT sessions? Punta lang po sa Met Review Center Facebook page. Andun po lahat ng mga information. Then mamaya siguro, before we end, ipapaliwanag ko kung paano ba sumali dito sa ating CUT. Magandang gabi, Ma'am Sheng, Henita. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Ayan, maayong gabi iraw, sabi ni Jericho Matutinaw from Cebu. So pa-share po ng link na to sa mga kaibigan nyo kasi talagang malapit ng exam, di ba? And of course, kahit na talo si Pacquiao ngayong araw na to, okay lang yan. Meron pa namang next time, tama? Anyway, Ma'am Jen, are we ready na po ba? Shall we start na po? Ayan, pero bago yan ma'am, tawag dito, may taga-Panglao, Bohol, si Ma'am Rosaline Bulwal. Magandang gabi po sa mga taga-Bohol dyan. Ayan, sana po ay nasa maayos kayong kalagayan, safe, at sana rin ay hindi lang ikaw, pati ang mga mahal mo sa buhay at ang pamilya mo. Ayan. Ano pa? Meron ba tayo mga pabati dyan? Please pakishare naman yung link mga kaibigan. Ito na po. Para po sa ating YouTube channel, para hindi na po kami mahirapan na mag-subscribe, meron pong link dyan na pinost ang ating admin. Click nyo lang po yan at pupunta na po kayo sa ating YouTube. And please, mag-subscribe kayo and hit the notification bell. So ayan. So siguro, bago tayo magsimula, mag-pray muna tayo. Mag-pray tayo bago tayo magsimula kasi I think ito lang talaga ang ating makakapitan in these trying times. So let's pray. In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. So Lord, sa pagsimula ng aming review, nawa po ay gabayan nyo kami sa gabing ito para ma-absorb namin lahat na kailangan namin matutunan para sa darating na board exam for teachers. Lord, also bless our families and loved ones at ilayo po kami sa lahat ng mga sakit at kapamakan. Lord, sana po matapos lang ang pandemic na ito para po magbalik tayo sa normal at masimulan po namin mga guro ang aming advocacy at ang aming mga adikain na matulungan ang kabataang Pilipino. In Jesus' name, Amen. So my dear friends, welcome sa ating last day ng free mini coaching series ng MET. And I'm so excited mga kaibigan na tatlo sa mga pinakamahuhusay na lecturers ay makakasama nyo ngayong gabi. Number 1, mamaya-mayang konti lang si Sir Englevert. Itutuloy niya ang kanyang lecture. Number 2, meron tayong facilitating learner-centered teaching with Sir Knoi at syempre ang technology for teaching and learning kasama naman si Sir Marc. So mga kaibigan, huwag natin patagalin pa. Let us all welcome Sir Knoi para sa kanyang facilitating learner-centered teaching. Sir Knoi, magandang gabi. Good evening po.
Hi, good evening everyone. Okay, mag-start na tayo. No? So bago ang lahat, gusto ko muna magpasalamat kay EJ. Ang ganda-ganda ng kanyang prayer. Ano? We should really start our day, our review, or anything that we endeavor to do with a prayer. So para sigurado tayong guide talaga tayo ng Panginoon. But anyway, I am here tonight to offer you certain information on facilitating learner-centered teaching. Ano? So sometimes tinatawag itong SCL or student-centered learning, kung saan ipinapakita dito kung paano tayo bilang mga guro nagtuturo na ang ating tawag dyan, yung itinitibok, the main focus of this lesson is of course the student. Ano? So may napili akong mga ilang katanungan na sa aming palagay ay malaki yung tsansa na paulit-ulit lumalabas sa board exam at magandang pag-usapan ito because who knows, this might reappear, it may be in other form, but of course yung storya, yung kwento, yun pa rin naman, the same pa rin. Ano? So tutulungan ako ni Miss Clarissa sa aking presentation para makita ninyo yung mga inihanda naming mga questions. Ready na ba tayo, Clarissa, para hindi tayo magtagal ng gusto? Sige. So makikita nyo sa screen maya-maya ang aking PowerPoint presentation. Meron akong mga ilang napiling mga katanungan dito na ating hihimayin ang kasagutan. Okay? Sige. Let's work on number 1. Sabi dito, for learners who are good in bodily kinesthetic intelligence, which of the activities below will be most applicable and be appreciated when assigned to them? So here, obviously, we are talking about Gardner's multiple intelligences. Ano? Nakafocus ito sa intelligences ni Gardner. Remember, si Gardner, he presented a very revolutionary theory sometime in 1983 nung medyo binago niya yung pananaw tungkol sa talino or intelligence. Prior to Gardner's time, ang pananaw ng maraming mga educators and psychologists pag sinabing talino, ito ay hahati lamang sa iilang piraso. So whether you are either good in numbers, numerical, or whether you're good in verbal, language, ganyan. Ano? So limitado. Very limited yung konsepto ng intelligence prior to Gardner's theory of intelligence. Ang ginawa ni Gardner, ni Howard F. Gardner, kaya ito naging very revolutionary, ay isinama niya ang iba't ibang mga klase ng mga talino na kung minsan ay hindi napapansin ng mga guro at mga psychologist. Isa dito, yung tinatawag nating bodily kinesthetic. From the word body and then kinesthetic. Body, katawan, kinesthetic means movement. So meaning to say, this particular person has an intelligence that, or he is a smart person, and his intelligence is shown by the creative use or the intelligent use of his body and his movement. So dito nakafocus yung tanong. So sa apat na pagpipilian, ano daw dito ang magandang activity ibigay sa mga batang kinakakitaan ng bodily kinesthetic intelligence? A. Display of sports equipment. B. Calisthenics. C. Lecture on body movements. Or D. Illustration of body parts and functions. Remember, ang subject matter natin is student-centered learning. Ibig sabihin, ito dito makikita kung saan mama-maximize ng estudyante. So yung focus, ano? So sa apat na pagpipilian, what we can do initially is to remove yung obvious error. At dito, syempre, obviously, hindi siya letter A. Hindi sa pagpapakita o sa pag-display ng mga equipments na pupukaw yung talino ng isang batang mahusay sa movement. Okay? At hindi rin nakukuha ito sa lecture. So, hindi rin siya letter C. So, kung hindi lecture at hindi rin daw display, di lalong hindi naman drawing or illustration ng body parts and function. So, dito, pinakamagandang sagot at ang pinakatumpak talaga ay letter B. Because this is learning by doing. Calisthenics is really the use of the body. So, pasok sa lahat ng criteria si calisthenics para siya ay maging tamang sagot. Number one, bagay na bagay siya sa bodily kinesthetic student or intelligent students na ang talino ay naka-focus sa katawan at kanyang kilos o movement. Pangalawa, aside na angkop siya, ito ay nagpapakita ng learning by doing kasi siya yung mismong gumagawa. Hindi lang siya basta-basta nakatingin, hindi lang siya basta-basta nanonood, hindi lang siya basta-basta nag-o-observe. Ano? Siya talaga is learning by doing. So here, obviously, ang tamang sagot dito ay letter B. But of course, I know it's very easy. Obvious ang sagot dito, especially for those na nag-review o nagbasa ng kanyang mga previous material. So, let me give you na lang certain additional information regarding Howard Gardner's intelligence. So, we mentioned already bodily kinesthetic. May dadagdag natin dyan yung verbal intelligence, which is intelligence on the use of language. Or if you are a student who seem to have all the words at the tip of your fingers all the time. So you have easy time looking for the right words at the right time. So it might be a sign of word smart or verbal smart. Number 3, we have what we call number smart or numerical logical, meaning to say, magaling sa numero. There are certain students na kailangan ituro sa kanya step 1 to 5 para makuha yung tamang solution sa problem. But there are students who only need step 3 para makuha yung tamang sagot. So very logical, very mathematical yung kanyang smartness. So ang tawag yan is logical, mathematical, or number smart. Pangapat, meron tayong tinatawag na musical o magaling sa magaling sa larangan ng musika. Tatlong uri ito. You can either be a very good player of a musical instrument. It can also be composition. You can compose songs. And it can also be voice of you have a very good singing voice. So these are all forms of music smart or musical intelligence. So number 5, we have tawag dito interpersonal, meaning to say na interpersonal, magaling siya makipaghalubilo sa iba. He is a people smart, magaling siyang makihalubilo, meron siyang PR skill, ano? So people are drawn to him. He's always invited to events. He's always invited to discussion. Gusto siya, masaya yung tao sa kanyang paligid pag nandiyan siya. Pang-anim naman, kasali naman dito yung tinatawag nating intrapersonal paloob. Akala kasi nung iba, pag sabing intra, opposite siya ng inter. Not necessarily, ano? Pag sabing intra, nakikipag-socialize din siya, pero ang kakaiba sa kanya is yung kanyang kaligayahan ay hindi lamang nakaangkla sa ibang tao, kundi sa kanyang sarili. Kilalang kilala niya ang kanyang sarili. Kaya naman, masaya din siya kahit siya ay nag-iisa sa kanyang bahay. So he can be a homebody type. He would enjoy writing journals. He would enjoy writing his or her diaries. But it doesn't mean he is a sad person. Yun ang talino niya. Inward, meditative, reflective. Yan ang mga kahusayan ng intrapersonal. So meron pa tayong mga nakalimutan. Nandiyan pa syempre ang ano pang hindi ko nabanggit. Nabanggit ko na ba yung environmental, which means ito of course yung kahusayan niya sa pangangalaga sa ating kalikasan. He may be a very good carer of animals. He may be an animal care advocate, ano, or he may have a very good skill in planting plants, or di ba, may green thumb siyang tinatawag. So all these things, all these example of intelligence before were neglected prior to Gardner's time. It wasn't looked upon as something that is a form of being smart. Maaaring sabi na, okay, may talento pero hindi matalino. Magkaiba sa kanila yun. Pero nung present ni Howard F. Gardner yung kanyang theory, na-revolutionize yung pananaw ng education at ng psychology dahil lumawak pa yung pananaw natin tungkol sa talino. Okay, so that's number 1. Okay, so number 2. Clarissa? Okay, yan. In her grade 6 class, okay, so grade 6, so more or less, ang mga estudyanteng ito ay naglalaro sa mga edad na 11, 12, yan ang mga edad nila. So si Teacher Cindy wants to teach rules and procedures so that her learners can positively respond to her bodily gestures and signals. So gamit lamang ang mga gesture, sign, signal, something like that, okay? Natututo na agad yung bata ng mga rules na ito. Such as calling for attention, ano? Ganyan. So, ang tanong dito is what classroom management approach did she adopt? So, ano ang ginamit? Ano ang inadopt ni Teacher Cindy? Okay? Anong classroom management na inadopt niya para matuto yung mga mag-aaral, 11 to 12 years old, na matuto ng mga rules gamit lamang ang mga senyales, signal, bodily language, or sometimes even gesture, ano? So, malaking bagay yun, di ba? I remember growing up, our parents would tell us na makuha ka sa tingin, may mga ganyan, di ba? So, halimbawa, kapag medyo your behavior is not already deemed appropriate, may certain look yung nanay o may certain look yung tatay na agad-agad yung bata talagang umaayos siya ng behavior niya. So, anong tawag sa approach na yon? Letter A, behavioral modification. B, acceptance. C, assertion. Or letter D, business academic. Isa-isahin natin, ano? So kapag sinabing behavior modification, it is a concept in psychology wherein psychologists present or suggest that certain behavior can be modified, can be changed, or can be altered by doing certain techniques that will highlight the positive and therefore diminishing the negative. This is highly related with Skinner, ano, yung kanyang reinforcement technique. Diyan naman talaga nagsimula yung mga ganyang konsepto ng behavior modification sa Skinnerian psychology o yung tinatawag nating reinforcement concept of Skinner, ni Barhas F. Skinner. Okay, so yung acceptance naman, isang approach ito na tanggapin na lang. Ano? Kung wala ka na siguro magawa, you just simply accept. Assertion naman is yung ipinipilit mo talaga, ina-assert mo, you are really, you're putting it on his face, ito ang dapat mong gawin. Pag business academic naman, this is another approach of the teacher wherein he can be very friendly to the student, but at the same time, you are business-like, meaning friendly and yet business-like. Ibig sabihin, what we agreed on is agreed upon na talaga. So, pag sabing Monday, it's really Monday. If it's Tuesday, ang submission, Tuesday talaga. But we are friendly ang terms ng teacher, pero consistent siya when it comes to rule. Ang tawag yan is business academic. So, therefore, sa apat na ito, ano dito yung konsepto na nagtuturo ng mga ng pagbabago o pagkakaroon ng kaalaman sa mga rules and regulation, for example, na gamit lamang ang mga signal or gesture. Definitely, hindi acceptance, ano? Dahil nga may ginagawa ka. Kasi if there is, kung wala kang ginagawa, yun parang tinanggap mo na lang. So definitely, tinanggal mo na yung acceptance. So definitely, it's not letter B. It is not also letter C. It's not assertion. The teacher naman is not asserting. He is simply showing signal. Like that. Ano? So dalawa yung pinagpipilian natin. Is it behavior modification or is it business academic? Correct. Your answer is correct. It's letter A, behavior modification. Part of behavior modification is actually giving our students certain signals, okay, behavioral signals or facial gestures, for example, facial reaction that will correct their behavior immediately. Like, for example, a gesture of putting your finger in front of your lips, which means silence, di ba? Pag gumanyan ng teacher at tumigil yung bata, then effective yung gesture na yon. Then that is part of our behavior modification program or technique na tinatawag. Okay, so very good. That's the answer. Letter A, behavioral modification. We can proceed now to number 3. Okay. What mistake is committed by a teacher who lacks clear direction and sequences of activities by going to one activity to another? So these 4 that you will see below are the different errors of teaching. Alam mo, ang mga teachers, syempre, hindi naman tayo perfecto, no? May mga pagkakataon na gumigising tayo on the wrong side of the bed. Kung minsan, wala tayo sa gana, wala tayo sa mood para magturo. At dahil dito, kung minsan, especially the not so expert ones, nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag ng mga errors of teaching. Ang isa sa mga errors ay yung sinasabi dito, na yung teacher daw ay nagpapatalon-talon sa isang activity papunta sa another activity or from one topic to the other. It can be an activity, it can also be a topic. Going to one activity to another. So anong uring error ang nakocommit? Letter A, thrusting. B, truncating. C, dangling. And D, flip-flopping. Okay, isa-isahin natin. Okay. Kapag sinabi natin, unahin natin yung kasi dito ako magiging, i-coconnect ko sa iba pang mga errors of teaching. Unahin ko si letter C. Kapag sinabing dangling, the word means dangling dahil from the word, parang isipin nyo dangling, parang dangling earring, nakasabit, di ba? Sabit. So meaning to say, yung lesson is since nakadangling siya, it's a dangle lesson, hindi siya tapos. May bitin, nakabitin yung lesson. Ibig sabihin, hindi properly nagkakaroon ng conclusion yung lesson. So yung bata, halimbawa sasabihin ng teacher, so ngayon, nagturo siya, ang topic nila ay tungkol sa addition of similar fraction. Okay, nagbigay siya ng mga examples, so very inductive yung lesson niya, example. Pero, okay na sana, ang nagginawa na teacher, sabi niya, nung ibibigay niya na yung rules, di ba, remember, induction, example, then conclusion or generalization, sinabi niya, okay class, so that's it for today. So yung mga bata nalito na, ma'am, paano nga po i-add? Paano po i-add ang similar fraction? Tomorrow na lang yan. So in short, nakadangle sila, nakabitin sila. Hindi nila alam ano na nangyari, ano na ba ang lesson, paano na talaga. Paano nga ba mag-add? So mali, error teacher doon. Dapat kung anong sinimulan ni teacher, kailangan matapos niya within the given period of time. Ang technique dyan is really proper time management. Tansyado mo talaga hanggang kailan ka magbibigay ng example at hanggang kailan mo ibibigay yung generalization or yung pinaka-conclusion mo. Dahil pag di mo ginawa yan, magkakaroon tinatawag na dangling. Okay? Pag sinabi namang flip-flopping, from the word flip, then flop. Flip and flop. From A, you go to B. From B, you go to A. Balik-balik ka. You're a mathematics teacher. You're talking about addition of similar fraction, just like what we discussed a while ago. Ang topic is addition of similar fraction. In the middle of the lesson, isiningit niya ang tungkol sa mixed numbers. So tuloy yung bata, ano na daw? Ba't nasa mixed number na tayo? Kanina nasa addition of similar fraction pa lang tayo. Bakit nag-a-add na tayo ng mixed number? So, talon-talon. Tapos, babalik na naman siya dun sa letter A. Diba? Or, halimbawa, from giving a concept in mathematics, biglang pupunta sa science, then from science, pupunta sa math. Pabalik-balik, tumatalon-talon siya. So, ang tawag dyan ay flip-flopping. Ang nakakalungkot, kung minsan, pag nag-flip-flop, okay, nagpunta siya from letter A, which is the original lesson, nagpunta siya kay topic letter B, which is not part of the original lesson, at hindi na siya nakabalik kay letter A o sa original, what happened there? The error now is called truncating. So ibig sabihin, truncated na yung lesson dahil hindi ka na nakabalik. So from flip-flop, nagkaroon ng truncation. Okay? Ano naman tong trusting? Trusting is an error of the teacher, error by giving a not so kumbaga, a very poor instruction, mali yung, hindi maganda yung kanyang binigay na instruction or procedure, yung dapat gawin ng bata. At dahil dito, pagdating sa activity, maraming tanong na nangyayari. Kasi hindi klaro yung binigay niyang instruction sa madla o sa kanyang audience. Tuloy, uulitin na naman yung instruction on a one-on-one basis. Kasi hindi naintindihan ni Maria, hindi naintindihan ni Patricia, hindi rin naintindihan ni May. So yung mga bata, tanong na naman siya, Ma'am, ano nga po gagawin? Ma'am, ano po gagawin? Sayang ang oras dahil hindi nagbigay ng maayos na instruction. Hindi naging bigay ng isang maayos na procedure. Basta sinabi na lang ng teacher kanina, o basta tapusin na natin ito. Anong ibig sabihin ng tapusin na natin ito? Maraming meaning yun. Dahil dito, may nagtanong na bata, Ma'am, guguhitan po ba ang sagot? Sabi sa, Ma'am, bibilugan po ba? Ma'am, ano pong gagawin? Lalo sila nagkaroon ng kalituan kasi nagkakaroon ng trusting, meaning hindi klaro ang kanyang procedure. So balikan ng tanong. Going to one activity to another, pag nakakita ka na ng going from one activity to another, di ba? From one topic to the other, from A to B, B to A, the answer is of course letter D, flip-flop. So you're correct, flip-flop. And there are other, marami pang mga errors tayong mga teachers. And sometimes, kung minsan unconsciously nagiging guilty tayo of these errors, like for example, meron tayong tinatawag na stimulus bound. Yung stimulus bound naman, yung teacher, ang error niya ay nadidistract siya. So halimbawa, ang pinag-uusapan natin ay tungkol sa addition of similar fraction. All of a sudden, biglang may naisingit, halimbawa, may narinig siyang bulungan na, ay, talo si Pacquiao. So napunta na kay Pacquiao yung topic nila. Di ba? Napunta na kay Pacquiao. So yun na yung, kumbaga, para siyang flip-flop, pero ito talaga, nadidistract kasi yung teacher, iba nagiging topic niya. So or it may not be a topic, but it can be something. Say, for example, nagtuturo siya ng similar fraction, all of a sudden, may dumaan halimbawang co-teacher niya sa bintana ng kanyang classroom, napunta na doon yung attention niya, tapos hindi siya, kumbaga, distracted na siya. So, stimulus bound ang tawag sa error na yon. Di ba? Meron naman tayong tinatawag ng overdwelling. Yung overdwelling naman, Madam, kanina ka pa sa topic na yan, palayain mo na, OA na. Kung minsan, may hangganan. Pag tapos na, tapos na. Di ba? Huwag mo nang i-stretch. Ini-stretch mo so much. Ginagatasan mo so much yung topic. Yung bata nagkakaroon ng satiation. Meaning sawang-sawa na. Satiated na. Saturated na. Iba na. Move on na tayo. Diba? Hindi maka-move on si ma'am. Ang tawag doon is overdwelling. If you are interested to know more about these errors of teaching, of course, we will be discussing this also during our CUP when we talk about si mga Jacob Conin, concept ito nila Jacob Conin, magaganda yan, yung mga tawag dito, classroom management, etc., etc. Okay? So the answer here is flip-flopping. When you, as a teacher, you move from one topic to the other. Di ba? Pag you move on, you keep on moving A to B, B to A, flip-flopping. Pag hindi ka nakabalik, ang tawag na doon ay truncated na yun. Okay, sige. Interesting, Medyo may mga connection sila. Sige, we can proceed now sa next question. Okay. What must teacher Joseph require of his learners, okay, for an experiment to find an answer to the specific problem of whether aerial plants can also survive on land? So, meron silang experiment. Ang question in their head sa mga mag-aaral ni Teacher Joseph ay kung ang mga aerial plants, okay, what are aerial plants? Yung mga nakasabit, mga, kumbaga, does not require soil to thrive. These are what we call aerial plants. Ang tanong nila, kung ang mga aerial plants ba ay makakasurvive on land? Okay? So kung ito yung tanong nila, okay, ano kayang magandang gawin activity ng mga bata? Letter A, observe aerial plant survival if transferred to soil and note their observations. Letter B, cut and paste literature on this experiment. Okay, letter C, retrieve answers from the internet. Or letter D, research on past similar experiments. Here, some students, minsan tatawag sa amin after the board exam, Sir, grabe, pati dun sa Prof. Ed, may question about science. Natatawa kami kung minsan sasabihan sa kanila, no, it's not about science. It's basically an application question. Ano? Nagkataon lamang yung konteksto na ginamit ay tungkol sa science, pero ang konsepto pa rin na ito ay tungkol sa student-centered learning, kung paano mo ipapakita yung proper technique and method of your teaching. Ano? Yan. So ito, ang problema ay paano nila malalaman kung ang mga aerial plants ay nabubuhay ba, kung makakasurvive ba sa lupa. Okay. Obviously, there are options here rather na obvious na wrong. So pwede mo nang i-scratch on. Because the moment you can, that's the skill I want you to develop. The moment you immediately tick off yung mga obviously wrong answer, your chances of getting the right answer goes higher. If you can remove 2, then may 50-50 chance ka na to choose the right answer. If you can remove 3, then very well, you hit the right spot agad. And even if you only remove 1, it increases your percent by 33.3333%. Malaking bagay yun. 33.3% is a lot higher than 25%. Diba? If you don't answer, then you lose 25%, 0%. Correct? Diba? Sige, alisin natin yung obviously wrong. Obviously, sabi ng classmate natin, yung letter B naman, parang maling-mali naman yata yung cut and paste, diba? Cut and paste literature on this experiment. We are not encouraging our students to do cut and paste, diba? Kasi mali yun. Ang nangyayari dyan ay nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na pagnanakaw ng mga idea ng iba. Plagiarism. Imagine, gagawa ka ng essay mo galing sa ibang may akda. Bawal yun. You have to properly cite kung sino yung source mo. Well, sometimes may mga teachers din ganyan. Gagawa ng manual or textbook, cut and paste din. Mali yun. That's not good. Okay. So kung mali yung cut and paste, di medyo obviously na mali din yung retrieve answers from the internet. Kasi kung nag-google ka lang dyan, Wikipedia ka lang dyan, parang medyo may error na rin doon. Okay? So, dalawa yung pagpipilian mo dito. Observe areal plant survival, it transferred to similar experiment. Between the two, because again, it's learning by doing sa soil from aerial plant observation. So that is the best. A very good exercise of your intelligence kung merong sagot na okay. Sige. Okay. Wala ba ako? Let me know kung I'm back.
Yes, sir, you're back po.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, opo. You're back po.
Okay, bumalik na ako. Nakabalik na ako.
Yes, sir, opo. Yes, sir.
Nawala daw ako kanina. Am I back? Please.
Yes, sir, you are po. Opo.
Okay, sige. So that is the answer. Okay, very good. So again, I'll repeat. The right answer here is letter A. Number 1, it's learning by doing. The students are the one transferring the aerial plant to the soil, and they will observe the reaction of these aerial plants when they are transferred to the soil. They will note it. So the right answer is letter A. Ang pangalawang medyo mas tama-tama dyan is letter D, but of course, between A and D, the higher chance of being the best answer is letter A, of course. Okay, sige. How about we move on to the next? Okay. Yan. In the 4 A's of facilitating learning, so in short, dapat alam mo yung 4A, ano? So, analysis, activity, application. Obvious naman, ano? Titignan mo, if you are somebody who reviewed, of course, you know the arrangement of this. But for somebody na first time itong nakita, titignan mo lang naman di ba? Ano kaya sa palagay dito? Yung logical. What is the logical arrangement here? Mag-abstract ba muna tayo? O mag-a-apply? Mag-a-analyze ka na ka ba agad? Bago mag-activity. Diba? So obviously, among the 4, ang unang-una mong gagawin dyan is of course, activity. Diba? You have to make an activity. Correct? Yan. So that's the answer. Followed by activity, analysis, abstraction, and then application. Okay. Sige, very easy kasi may proper arrangement naman. Next, please. Okay? Yan. In metacognitive learning, okay, ang metacognition, it started in 1996 and even up to the mga recent board exam, yan pa rin. Isa yan sa mga konsepto talaga na hindi naman sa paborito, na madalas lumabas na yung metacognition, okay? In metacognition or in metacognitive learning, which of the following can be applied? Let's talk about metacognition first. When you say meta, it means beyond, above, beyond and above. Cognitive meaning cognition, thinking. So when you say metacognition, you are thinking beyond thinking. So it's not just thinking, but beyond thinking. And when you talk about metacognition, the main concern really is towards really the self. Diba? What have I learned from it? Really, the question really is towards the questioning of the self. Diba? It's you are doing more than just simply introspection, but really going beyond what is in the usual form of thinking, kaya metacognition. So, saan daw na-apply ang metacognition sa apat na ito? Letter A, emphasis on hypothetical question. B, monitoring own comprehension. C, abstract concepts. D, problem-solving skill. Again, as I've said kanina, when you talk about metacognition, the main concern is really the self. Diba? Ikaw, yung ano ang natutunan mo dito. So therefore, the right answer here is letter B. Monitoring. When you monitor your own comprehension, that's why the word self, the self, the own comprehension, then chances are you are going in that direction. Metacognition. Okay? Sige. So that's simple lang yan. So metacognition, when you comprehend your own comprehension, the focus is really on the self. That's metacognitive learning. Okay. Sige. Let's proceed to the next. Okay. Teachers are aware of the importance of continuation of learning. Totoo yan, ano? So, hindi stagnant ang learning. Learning is dynamic. It is, tawag yan, may continuation, dynamic siya, fluid siya, may flow ang ating learning. Now, ginagawa natin yung continuation of learning para yung bata magkaroon ng further skill, further knowledge, so they can further their knowledge on the topic. There must be a continuation. Kaya naman, ang mga teachers, kuminsan gumagamit tayo ng natawag nating synapse strengtheners. Ang synapse strengtheners, galing siya sa konsepto sa neurology, kung saan ang ating utak, diba? Remember, when you look closely sa mga cells ng mga utak, there are small synapse. The synapse are the small connection, the cells that connect. You got billions of synapse yan that co-connect to each other, and yung mga connection na yon, that really is that function of the brain allows the person to really learn yung mga synaptic junctions na yon. So in education, in teaching, we also use synapse strengtheners, connect, di ba? Para ma-further daw, para yung magkaroon ng continuation at to further yung learning ng bata. Okay? So, therefore, yung synapse strengtheners na to, okay, provide them with, number one, boundaries, concerns, problems, or opportunities. There is one technique, especially kung medyo hindi ka familiar doon sa question, tignan mo yung option. Pag may options diyan, na iisa lang naman yung ibig sabihin, then definitely, hindi yan tamang sagot. Yan ang rule natin, di ba? If A is equal to B and B is equal to A, then neither A nor B can be the right answer. Kasi in a question, there will only be one correct answer. So dahil pareho sila, hindi sila tamang sagot. Dito, may makikita ka ditong dalawa na iisa lang naman ang kahulugan. And that word is concerns and problems. So problems, concerns are the same. So if you are a very smart person, in-scratch mo na kaagad yung words, yung options na yan. Natitira na lang sa'yo is the word boundary and opportunities. One positive, one negative. But of course, the question is eyeing for a positive answer. So therefore, the answer there is opportunities. In short, you may not review the word, hindi mo naaral yung word na synapse strengtheners, but by merely looking at the option, you can immediately pinpoint what is the right answer. Di ba? Kahit nga hindi mo alam yung yung concept ng if A is equal to B, B is equal to A, then neither A or B can be the answer. Kung di mo alam yun, tignan mo na lang yung mga signs on the side. Boundaries, it's negative. Concerns are negative. Problems are negative. Opportunities is positive. By merely looking at the sign, negative, 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 positive, one can immediately deduce na, that's the right answer. And it is correct. The answer here is really opportunity. Synapse strengtheners provides them, okay, synapse strengtheners provide them with opportunities, pagkakataon, oportunidad, para lalo pa nilang madugtungan, madagdagan yung learning na nakuha nila mula sa guro. Learning should not stop in the classroom. Okay? That's the reason why we give them assignments. That's the reason why we give them challenges. Something to think about. Diba? These are all part of our synapse strengtheners. Additional information. Because this will give them opportunities to solidify the things that the teachers taught them in the classroom. Because kung natapos lang siya doon hanggang classroom lang, so what's the use? It's a dead knowledge. It should be a living knowledge, something that they can bring home, something that they can bring with them as they grow older. And how will you do that? Diba? The lesson should be continued by providing them opportunities to learn more. And what do you call them? These are synapse strengtheners, opportunities, activities that provides them the opportunity to connect, to link, to further, to advance the teacher's idea or lesson in the classroom. Okay. Do we have more? Meron pa ba tayong question dyan, Clariza? Okay, meron pa. Among the following interactions, which one shows a strong student-centered environment? Sa apat na pagpipilian, ano dito yung nagpapakita that the classroom is advocating student-centered environment? Okay. Ano yung nagpapakita dito ng strong student-centered environment? Okay. A, student-to-student interaction. Kapag nakita mo yung mga bata, sila-sila ang mga nagkakaroon ng pag-uusap. There's communication, there's interaction. Is that a strong student-centered environment? Letter B, student-to-lesson. Ang kaugnay lang ng bata ay yung kanyang lesson na sa harapan niya. Student-centered ba ito? Teacher-to-student, letter C. Ang ugnayan ay namumuot sa pagitan ng teacher at ng bata. Palitan ng puro-puro sa pagitan ng teacher at ng bata. Is that a strong student environment? Or ugnayan ng mag-aaral at sa isang outsider? Ito ba ay student-centered environment? Nagpapakita ba ito ng malakas o strong student-centered environment? Maaari, di ba? Maaari. Pero ano dito yung pinaka malakas na pagpapakita na ang classroom ay naniniwala sa student-centered concept? Okay. And the answer here is, of course, obviously, it's letter A. you can immediately see that the teacher is advocating student-centered environment kung ang mga nag-uusap sa loob ng silid-aralan ay ang mga bata sa kanilang kapwa nilang mag-aaral. I'm not talking about the chismis kind of thing, When you see a classroom and there is a strong exchange of ideas among the students, and the teacher is simply like acting like a traffic aid, just simply saying, okay, that's a good idea. How about you? Okay, there's another idea here coming from this particular student. How about you? So that is a very, very strong student-centered environment, because the ones who are actively engaged in the activity is the students, or are the students. Yun ang pagpapakita ng strong. Pero kung ang nagsasalita sa buong oras ay yung teacher lamang, from the beginning until the end, yung teacher lang ang nagsasalita, at yung mga bata walang ginawa kundi magtango lang, opo, opo, yes ma'am, yes ma'am, ganun lang sila ng ganun, then it is not a student-centered environment. It is a teacher-centered environment, and it was proven by numerous research that learning is dead when it becomes teacher-centered. Patay ang learning kapag nakafocus lang sa teacher. Dapat it has to be focused on the student. Sila mismo, sila dapat ang magbalitaktakan, sila mismo dapat ang mag-exchange ng idea. Kumbaga, ang final arbiter lang kung minsan yung teacher. Sasabihin lang niya, okay, napakaganda ng ating mga ugnayan, ang ganda ng mga usapan niyo, pero sa aking palagay, ganito, 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 ganito. Then he gives his 5 centavo idea ng idea niya. So that's what you call, yan yung natawag na final arbiter lang siya. Pero the entire time, it was really the student who are actively engaged. So yun ang student-centered environment. Okay. Do we still have more? Let's wait for Clarissa. Yan. So among the following activities, okay, inside the room, which one promotes, okay, active learning in SCL? Again, what is SCL? Student-centered learning. So alin sa apat na ito, okay, of course, these are all possible activities or methods that we can use inside the room, but which among the four will promote a very strong student-centered learning? A, lecture, B, drills, C, project making, or D, demonstration. Isa-isahin natin. When you say lecture, of course, this is a teacher-dominated activity. The teacher is the one giving information in a direct manner. So, direkta niyang inilalahad ang mga dapat malaman ng mga bata. Lecture yan. So, teacher-centered yan, obviously. Correct? Dahil siya yung gumagawa eh. Pero bakit tama ang lecture? Bakit patuloy pa rin natin ginagamit ang lecture sa classroom? Ang lecture, paminsan-minsan talaga ginagamit natin yan dahil may mga pagkakataon na ang topic, expert yung teacher. If you are the expert in the topic, the teacher has no choice but to lecture. If that falls under your expertise, you have to lecture. Huwag ka magmaili ng ibang mga method. Kapag ikaw ang expert dyan, i-lecture mo yan. Say, for example, the topic is about pregnancy. And you are a mother with 3 kids. Diba? You've underwent pregnancy for 3 times. So more or less, you're an expert when it comes to pregnancy. So instead of asking somebody to report about pregnancy, why not do it yourself? Mag-lecture ka about pregnancy. Lecture, you do it if you are the expert in that. But if not, then there are other activities kasi boring din ang lecture eh. Diba? It can be boring also. So teacher-directed kasi yan, or what we call teacher-centered. The drills naman, students are simply repeating, nagre-repeat lang sila ng mga numbers or mga words for them to commit it to their memory with the hope that they understand what they are drilling on. Say, for example, mag-multiplication sila. 1 times 1 equals 1. 2 times 2 equals 4. 2 times 3 equals 6. Yung mga paulit-ulit na mga ganyan drill, ang desire niyan is for this concept to be committed to memory. But not just committed to memory. Dapat merong understanding of what you are drilling. So is that an SCL? Very, very minimal. Very, very minimal ang pagiging SCL niya. Project making. Ang project making, okay, of course, medyo kung minsan may negative connotation yung project making because some teachers are not using it properly properly or nami-misuse nila yung method ng project making. Ang nangyayari, nagiging way ito for them to commit mga tinatawag na mga corruption. Sasabihin ng teacher, oh, your project will be, okay, magbigay kayo ng mga USB, ganyan. Mamaning po USB, kailangan ko yan next sem. That's not a good project. Or sasabihin ng teacher, oh, ang project ninyo ay walis tingting. Diba? Walang katapos walis tingting, bunot, floor wax, etc., etc. These are not the project that we are talking about. When we say project, it can either be construction project, meaning mga gawa ng mga bata, yaring kamay, gawang kamay nila. Pinagawa mo sila ng dustpan, pinagawa mo sila ng say, baru-baruan ng isang bata. That's project. Construction yon. Or remember, when you were in high school, gumagawa ka ng iba't ibang mga splices o pagdudugtong ng mga kawad ng kuryente. Construction project yon. Tama yon. Walang corruption doon. Another one can be learning project, something that the students will learn from, but it can be a project. Say, for example, pinagawa mo sila ng quiz bee, okay? Parang quiz bee. Gagawa sila ng mga question, tatanungin nila yung mga classmate nila, parang quiz bee type, ano? Or reviewer, parang a way of also to review. It can be a project. It's a learning project. And the other one is enjoyment project, something that they will enjoy doing, but at the same time, they will learn from it. Say, for example, a Filipino teacher will ask the student to create a drama about, say, for example, the Noli Me Tangere. So, a particular kabanata in the Noli Me Tangere, they will create a drama out of that. That is an enjoyment project. Diba? Kumbaga, at the end of, during, nagkataon Christmas program in the school, at ang kanyang ginawang pinagawa niyang proyekto sa mga mag-aaral ay gawing dula-dulaan ang kabanata 24, ang Noche Buena ng Noli Me Tangere. Diba? Kabanata 24, Noche Buena. It was a very dramatic scene. Hinahabol ni Basilio si Sisa hanggang nabagok ang ulo ni Basilio nung nakita ng nanay niya na may dugo. Doon lang niya naalala na anak pala niya ito. So, things like that. Tapos, mga tragic story na ganyan. So, it can be a drama, but it can be an enjoyment project because nag-enjoy na sila. Somebody acted as a director, stage designer, costume designer. That's beautiful. So, project, therefore, is good. But depende kung paano gamitin ni teacher. Di ba? Pwedeng gamitin sa corruption, pero kung tama ang values ng teacher, project is a very, very good method. And then, of course, the last one is demonstration. Demonstration, iba-iba ang mga techniques nito. It can be teacher-aided, meaning teacher ang magde-demonstrate. It can be student-aided, meaning estudyante ang mag-demo. Diba? It can be others, or meaning an outsider, parang a resource speaker type of some person who will do the demonstration. So among the four, okay, so in the room, we're just talking inside the room, sino sa apat ang pinaka nagpo-promote ng strong SCL? Lecture? No. Drill? No. The answer, of course, is you are correct. Letter C, project making. Because in project making, students are the one actively engaged. They're the one doing it. Sometimes even the work of their hands. So they will learn so much from it. So the answer is letter C. Demonstration, of course, yes, it can be an SCL, but since inilagay si project, mas mataas si project. Sometimes when two are correct, one must be better. So you choose the best, di ba? Yan. Is that it? Meron pa ba tayong natira dyan? Yan. I think this is the last, okay? So intindihin natin ang gusto ito. Teacher Alan demonstrated the deductive method of teaching in his grade 4 math class on the topic addition of similar fractions. Kanina, when I was giving example, ang example na binigay ko was inductive, ano? Meaning, example, generalization. Pag sinabi naman deductive, that is the opposite. Kaya ako, para hindi ako malito, ang kinukumit ko lang sa aking memory, isa lang, yung inductive. Because ano yung deductive? Binabaliktad ko lang yung inductive. Kung ang inductive ko ay example, generalization. So in deductive, binaliktad ko siya. Generalization, example. So from general to specific. That's deductive. Inductive, from specific to general. Okay, so si Teacher Alan, nag-demo siya ng addition of similar fraction. Ang kanyang desire is to use the deductive method. Okay. Based on his teaching demo, he showed the class examples on how to add similar fraction. Example number 1, number 2, number 3, sabi niya. And after showing at least 5 examples, he announced to the class the rule in adding similar fractions. So sabi ni teacher, now after giving you several examples, so what can we deduce from this example? Correct. In adding similar fraction, all you have to do is to add you add the numerator and then you copy the denominator and then you reduce it to lowest term if possible. That's the rule. Sabi niya. The question now, did Teacher Alan follow the deductive way of teaching correctly? Deductive ba yung ginawa niya? Remember, anong ginawa niya? Example, 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 generalization. So therefore, there is something wrong. So hindi niya pinalo. Pag alam mo na hindi niya pinalo yung deduction, so ang hanapin mo na lang na sagot is no. Diba? So may dalawang yes dyan. A, yes, his lesson is deductive. C, yes, he started with concrete. So obviously, hindi yan ang tamang sagot. And then letter B naman is both. There is no such thing as both deductive and inductive. So isa sa mga una mong i-eradicate is letter B. Kung di ka nag-review at hindi mo nalilito ka sa difference ng inductive or deductive and inductive, tanggalin mo na agad si B. Because there's no such thing as both. Pareho, walang ganun. Pag natanggal mo na yan, di tatlo na lang. And then sabi natin, di ba? If A is equal to B is equal to A, both neither A or B can be the right answer. A letter A is yes, letter C is yes. It cannot be the same. It cannot be the answer rather. Kasi pareho silang yes eh. The only difference here is letter D. No, he did not go deductive. Instead, he went inductive. Kasi example, generalization. But again, as I am saying to you, kahit hindi ka nag-review ng difference between inductive or deductive, if you are going to use this technique of eradicating the wrong answer, makaka-lead ka doon sa tamang sagot. Di ba? You will remove letter B because there's no such thing as both. You will remove A and C because pareho lang siyang yes. Anong natira sa'yo? D. Pikit mata, sinagot niya letter D. Tama pa yung napili niya. So, there are certain techniques when you guess. And these are the things that we'll talk with you. And we will talk about this in full details when we have our CUT this coming September. So again, I think this is my last number, my last item. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite all of you on our CUT program, okay, which will happen on September. And I will share with you, together with my colleagues, the techniques. Ito na talagang techniques kung paano harapin ang mga board exam questions. And with that, I'll say bye-bye.
Maraming salamat, Sir Knoi. Thank you po. Maraming salamat. So everybody, part naman natin kay Sir Knoi bago siya umalis at magpaalam sa atin. Part naman tayo dyan para kay Sir. Sir, see you soon po sa ating CUT. Maraming salamat ulit kay Sir Knoi. Thank you for sharing your insights with us tonight.
Okay,
Ayan.
so ang susunod na natin, I see Marc Lhester. So take it away.
So let me welcome ang ating lecturer for our technology for teaching and learning, Sir Marc. Sir Marc, at saka na ba? Magandang gabi.
Hey, Sir EJ. Thank you so much, Sir EJ, and thank you so much, Sir Knoi. So, umpisa pa lang, no? Talagang very substantial and very informative na yung natunghayan natin with regards to facilitating student-centered learning. So hopefully, ngayong gawing ito, matuto din kayo for technology, for teaching and learning na ako yung lecturer ninyo. So let's start. So habang piniprepare ko yung PowerPoint presentation ko, gusto kong ilagay din niyo sa chat box ninyo, ano yung dinner nyo ngayon? Okay? So lagay nyo nga sa chat box ninyo, ano yung dinner nyo ngayon? Alright? Okay, patingin nga ako ng mga dinner ninyo, mga ulam ninyo ngayong gabi. Lagay nyo lang dyan sa inyong chat box. Okay, so si Ma'am Mami Tabs Jen, laing, yung iba naman corned beef with tuyo. Wow, ang sasarap. So yan, just relax. Pwede kayong mag-dinner naman habang nakikinig, no? So para hindi rin tayo gutom. So let's start. Okay, so for technology for teaching and learning, I'm Marc and I'll be your lecturer. So first question. For the first question, which of the following is not an example of software. But before anything else, gusto kong i-review natin what are the parts of the computer. So, isa sa section or isa sa ine-exam kapag sa Gen Ed ay yung ICT. So kadalasan sa ICT ang pinag-uusapan ay computer. Okay? So let's talk about the parts of the computer. Ano ba ang parts ng computer? Pwede nyo nga bang ilagay sa inyong chat box? So malamang sa malamang ang makikita ko dyan sa chat box, nasa na? Keyboard, monitor, ayan. Ano yung mga parts ng computer na alam ninyo? Mouse, I think, yan yung mga ilalagay ninyo. Very good. Keyboard, mouse, CPU, printer, etc. But yung mga parts na yun na sinasabi ko sa inyo, yung mouse, keyboard, printer, CPU, system unit, very elementary na yan. Kasi kapag tinanong ko kayo, what are the parts of the computer? Merong tatlo, okay? Hardware, software, and peopleware. Sir, bakit may peopleware? Alam ko may hardware. Alam ko may software. Pero bakit may peopleware? Tatandaan ninyo na ang computer, hindi siya gagana ng walang tao. Kahit yung ATM machine, okay? Kahit mag-isa siya, walang tao yun sa loob, pero kinode siya ng tao at hindi siya gagana nang hindi siya kinode ng tao. That is why one of the parts of the computer is what we call peopleware. So doon tayo mag-focus sa dalawang parts pa ng computer. Meron tayong tinatawag na hardware, meron tayong tinatawag na software. Pag sinabing hardware, these are the parts of the computer which are tangible, nahahawakan. Okay? So yung keyboard ba nahahawakan? Yes. Yung monitor ba nahahawakan? Yes. Yung mouse ba nahahawakan? Yes. Therefore, lahat ng sinabi ninyo ay parte ng hardware. And under hardware, meron pang iba't ibang types. Meron tayong tinatawag na input devices, wherein it allows the user to enter data into the computer. Meron din naman tayong tinatawag na output devices wherein ina-output or dinidisplay yung data ng computer sa pamamagitan. Isang example niyan ay monitor, projector, yung iba naman for physical reproduction kagaya ng printer. Okay? So meron din tayong tinatawag na storage devices. So ito yung mga ginagamit natin para mag-store ng information kagaya ng USB flash drive. Paulit-ulit tayo dyan na hindi pwedeng USB because yung USB, yun yung butas na pinagsasaksakan ng flash drive. So it should be flash drive or USB flash drive. Okay? So ano pa ba? Hard disk drive, storage device din po yan. Another na example or types ng hardware ay tinatawag nating processing devices. Ito yung nagko-convert ng language ng tao sa language ng computer. At ang example nito ay yung CPU. At kung iniisip ninyo ang CPU ay yung box, nagkakamali po kayo. Yung box na yon na part ng computer kung saan nandun yung hard disk drive, nandun yung power supply, nandun yung ano pa ba nandun? Yung saksakan ng disket, etc. Ang tawag doon ay system unit. Yung CPU na tinatawag natin or central processing unit ay maliit na part lang siya ng motherboard. Nakakabit siya sa motherboard. Ito yung may pin, no, na gold. At ito yung may brand na Intel tsaka AMD. Like for example, yung Intel i3, Intel i5, i7, i9, and then for AMD naman, meron tayong tinatawag na Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, etc. Okay? So yun yung hardware. Ito yung parts ng computer na nahahawakan. Okay? Pag sinabi naman nating software, on the other hand, opposite siya ng hardware. Ito naman yung hindi nahahawakang parte ng computer. Okay? At yung hardware, ay yung software, kilala din natin to sa salitang program. Okay? So, pag sinabi nating software, these are the written instructions of the computer. No? Ito yung mga ikinode ng developer or ng programmer sa loob ng computer. Okay? So, sabi dito, alin ang hindi example ng software? Pag sinabing hardware, nahahawakan. Pag sinabing software, hindi nahahawakan. Okay? So, which is not an example of software? Is it letter A, Windows 10? Okay? Windows 10. Is it letter B, camera? Is it letter C, Office 365? Or letter D, Met mobile app? Alin dyan ang hindi nahahawakan? Alin dyan ang nahahawakan? Kasi what is not a software nga eh. Alin dyan ang nahahawakan? So the answer is letter B. Okay, the answer is letter B, camera. Okay, so the answer there is camera. So yung Windows 10, Office 365, Met mobile app, applications po yung mga yan, and that is under, these are under software. Okay? Next, what type of graph is applicable to display the change of temperature? So ano daw yung pwede ninyong gamitin para ipakita yung change ng temperature? Is it letter A, pie chart? Is it letter B, Gantt chart? Is it letter C, Venn diagram? Or letter D, bar graph? Okay, isa-isahin natin. Pag sinabing pie chart, gusto nating ipakita yung part of a whole. Di ba? Parang merong 100% and then ilang percent, for example, ng budget niyo yung sa transpo allowance ninyo, ilan yung for the grocery. So pwede nyo yung ipakita sa pamamagitan ng pie chart. Pag sinabi naman natin Gantt chart, ginagamit naman to for schedules. Di ba? For timelines, for example, sa mga projects ninyo. For example, for allotted 7 days, ang allotted for designing the application. So pwede kayong gumamit ng Gantt chart. If gusto mo naman ipakita yung differences tsaka yung similarities ng dalawang konsepto, pwede kayong gumamit ng Venn diagram. Okay? So the answer here for the change of temperature is letter D, bar graph. Okay? But actually, ang mas appropriate ay yung line graph. But since wala naman dito yung line graph and pwede din naman gamitin yung bar graph, so the answer here, the best answer here is letter D, bar graph. Okay? Next. Next is Teacher Marge will develop her instructional material for the topic photosynthesis. So gagawa siya ng instructional material. Magde-develop siya ng instructional material for photosynthesis. What is the criterion in selecting and use of instructional materials? Alin sa tingin ninyo yung kailangan na i-consider, no? May na i-consider ni Teacher Marge sa pagde-develop ng instructional material? Is it letter A, learning outcomes? Is it letter B, differentiated approach? Is it letter C, the SMART principle? Or letter D, learning domains? Okay? So the answer here is letter A, the learning outcomes. Tatandaan ninyo, ang instructional materials ay hindi lang ginagamit para mapukaw yung interest ng mga estudyante. Yung instructional materials ay hindi din ginagamit para lang, mai-present yung topic. Ginagamit natin yung instructional materials para i-assist tayong mga teachers sa pag-achieve ng learning outcomes ng mga estudyante. Dapat Number 1, yung instructional materials ninyo nakakatulong para ma-achieve yung learning outcomes, no, na sinet natin para sa mga estudyante. At the end of the day, ang goal naman natin is dapat ma-achieve ng estudyante yung mga learning outcomes na sinet natin. Yung mga knowledge and skills na dapat na matutunan ng estudyante for a specific topic. So the answer here is letter A, learning outcomes. At hindi lang yan. Yung instructional materials, isa din sa purpose niya, ay magbigay ng experience sa mga estudyante. Lalo na ngayon na remote teaching and learning, walang face-to-face. Hindi excuse ang remote teaching and learning para hindi magkaroon ng relevant learning experience ang mga estudyante. Tayong mga teachers bilang mga facilitators at designers, dapat yung mga pinipili nating instructional materials will provide the students a relevant learning experience, no, sa kanila. Kasi nga naniniwala tayo, di ba, that experience is the best teacher. Okay? So, yeah. Next, number 5, Sir JR will discuss global warming to his grade 5 students. So the topic is all about global warming. He wants to ensure that the students will be interested. O sabi ko sa inyo kanina, di ba? Ang goal ng instructional materials ay hindi lang para maging interesado yung mga estudyante. Pero dito ang tanong, paano mas magiging interesado yung mga estudyante regarding the topic, which is global warming? So is it letter A? We should put animation and slide transition on each slide to sustain attention. Maglagay daw tayo ng animation tsaka transition. Alam kong trabaho natin yan lagi. Gusto natin mapaganda yung PowerPoint presentation natin. Kaya nilalagyan natin ng iba't ibang mga twists like animation and slide transition. Ako din dati, di ba? Laging gusto ko maganda talaga. Parang nakakahilo na nga minsan eh. Yun yung problema. Yung instructional materials natin dapat appropriate. Okay? And dapat yung instructional materials niyo, it's either it will make the experience or it will break the experience. So sana yung instructional materials yun nakakatulong, hindi siya yung nakakagulo pa dun sa pagtuturo mo. Tatandaan niyo that too much animation and slide transition, nakakahilo siya. And ang importante syempre yung content. Okay? So that's letter A. B, include pictures and short video clip that capture the effects of the global warming. Maglagay daw tayo ng pictures or short video clip. Letter C, use a different slide design with nature images for each slide to sustain interest. So para daw maging interesado yung mga estudyante, yung design dapat daw ng slides mo, may mga nature images. Yan, mahilig tayo dyan kapag demo natin, di ba? Kapag final demo natin, as in gusto natin, sobrang makulay. Yung mga PowerPoint natin, yung tipong PowerPoint pa lang, pero akala ng mga estudyante nyo, nasa Encantadia na sila. Okay? So, taas yung mga kamay ng mga ganyang teacher dito. Yung talagang sobrang effort pagdating sa PowerPoint. Letter D, put one paragraph per slide to emphasize the facts about global warming. So medyo minimalist lang daw dapat, sabi sa letter D. One paragraph per slide para ma-emphasize daw yung facts about global warming. So which do you think is the answer? Paano daw ma-ensure na yung estudyante ay magiging interesado sa global warming? Okay? So the answer here is letter B. Maglagay ka ng pictures. Maglagay ka ng short video. Kasi nga, di ba, kasama yung pictures tsaka short videos doon sa cone of experience, di ba, ni Edgar Dale, no? Kasama yan doon. Wala mang concrete experience yung mga estudyante, pero yung pictures tsaka short video, nagpo-promote pa rin siya ng experience. Yun nga lang, abstract experience. Pero tatandaan nga ninyo na importante ang experience because experience is the best teacher. Okay? So tatandaan niyo yan kapag gagawa kayo ng mga lessons ninyo, ng mga instructional materials ninyo, make sure na mapoprovidean niyo yung mga estudyante ng relevant learning experience. Okay? Next, number 6. Which of the following attributes, ano daw sa mga characteristics na nasa ilalim, ang vital or important for teachers and will enable them to adopt to the current trends in teaching? Ito lagi kong tinatanong kapag nagtitrain ako ng mga teacher. Naging madali ba yung transition natin from the traditional, which is the face-to-face teaching and learning, papunta dito sa remote teaching and learning? Sabi ko sa kanila, i-describe nyo nga in one word. Ano yung na-feel ninyo nung nag-transition tayo from face-to-face to remote teaching and learning? Ang sabi nila, challenging. Yun din ba yung naramdaman ninyo nung nagkaroon tayo ng transition from face-to-face to remote teaching and learning? Let me know on the chat box. Siyempre, challenging. Ngayon, ano yung kailangan natin ng mga characteristics bilang mga teacher so that we would be able to adapt to the current trends in teaching? Alam kong hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin kayo komportable sa pagtuturo gamit lang ang Zoom or MS Teams or Google Meet. Pero ano ba yung kailangan nating characteristics para maging successful dito sa ginagawa natin? 1, persistence. 2, optimism. 3, curiosity. 4, openness to learn. Nakita ko pa, sabi ni Juan Feline, opo sir, ang hirap aralin sa una ng LMS. Ano ba yung LMS? Di ba? Learning Management System. Dati, ang uso is get 1/4 sheet of yellow paper. O kaya naman, get 1/2 lengthwise or 1/2 crosswise. So wala ka pang dala, manghihingi ka pa dun sa kaklase mo. Pero ngayon, anong gagawin? Open Google Form. O kaya naman, I have already assigned you your quiz on Canvas or in MS Teams, or I have already assigned you an assignment. Please check your mobile app. Yun na yung lagi nating sinasabi sa mga estudyante natin. But paano ba tayong mga teachers magiging successful, okay, in adapting to the current trends in teaching? So 1 and 2, persistence lang ba and optimism? 1 lang ba, persistence lang daw ba dapat? 1, 2, 3, persistence, optimism, and curiosity lang ba? Siyempre, the answer is letter D, lahat yan. Dapat una, persistence. Dapat kahit mahirap, you never quit. Di ba? Walang nagki-quit sa teacher. Di ba? Walang hindi pwedeng hindi natin alam. Di ba? So dapat persistent tayo. Kung hindi natin kaya ngayong araw, i-try natin kinabukasan. Optimism. So hindi pwedeng ini-introduce pa lang sa inyo yung technology na bago ninyong gagamitin, nagre-reklamo na kayo. Okay? So yan yung problema sa atin minsan, mareklamo tayo. Dapat optimistic tayo. Kaya kong pag-aralan yan para sa mga estudyante ko. Okay? So next, 3 is curiosity. Siyempre kailangan curious ka, no? Hindi ka magiging open sa learning kung hindi ka curious, no? So dapat curious ka, and then siyempre dapat open ka na matuto. Okay? So the answer is letter D, 1, 2, 3, and 4, meaning lahat. Okay? So yan, sabi ni Ma'am Raysha, fighting para sa mga teachers. Alam kong mahirap, pero kaya natin to. Okay? So yan. Next. Next question is, which is not, alin dito ang hindi example ng educational technology? Pag sinabi nating edtech, no, or educational technology, it is the application when we apply technology tools into teaching and learning. Kapag ang technology ay ginamit mo para magturo, At para way na matuto yung mga estudyante ninyo, yung simpleng laptop na ginagamit nyo lang sa pag-Netflix, it becomes an educational technology. Okay? So yung aircon na sinasabi ko sa inyo, di ba? Nung tayo ay nagkakaroon ng face-to-face pa noon, tsaka nung nagkakaroon to ng hybrid, ang aircon ba ay edtech? The answer is it depends. Kapag ang aircon ay ginamit para lang magpalamig ng room, ang aircon ay hindi edtech kasi hindi naman natin siya ginamit sa pagtuturo at pag-aaral. Pero kapag ang aircon ay ginamit ko para matuto kayo about temperature, kapag ang aircon ay ginamit ko para ituro sa inyo yung parts ng aircon kasi parte ng lesson natin, then aircon becomes an educational technology. So among the 4 choices, alin dito ang hindi example ng edtech? Is it the projector used in displaying images? Is it using of chalkboard in demonstrating arithmetic? Is it letter C, television used for entertainment? And then letter D, chart showing the different animal kingdom. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang edtech ay application ng technology tools into teaching and learning. Therefore, the answer here is letter C dahil ang television ay ginamit para sa entertainment. Okay? For Netflix, for example, or nanonood ng YouTube. Pero kapag ang TV ay ginamit para i-present yung content sa mga estudyante, then the television becomes an edtech. Okay? Next. Next question is, globalization is one of the evolving topics in the recent years. No? The world has become borderless primarily because, bakit daw yung world tinawag nating borderless? Is it because the English language is the universal language? Okay, dahil ba English na yung naging universal language natin, lahat nagkakaintindihan? Is it letter B dahil sa faculty exchange programs? Or letter C dahil sa advancement ng technology? Or last but not the least is letter D, it's because of the ASEAN integration. Tatandaan ninyo, naging borderless ang world, it's because of the technological advancement. Diba? Nang dati, diba, ang tagal bago ma-receive yung letters na sinusulat pa ng mag-girlfriend or mag-boyfriend, diba? Pero ngayon, dahil sa advancement ng technology, diba? Sinend mo ngayon, makikita niya na ngayon. Ang problema nga lang, hindi niya sinisin, kaya ang sakit-sakit, diba? So pinakita sa messenger na receive niya pero hindi niya naman sinin, okay? So yun nga lang, di ba? So dahil sa technological advancement, naging borderless tayo. Kumbaga kahit nasa ibang bansa ka, kaya kitang kausapin. Ngayon nga lang we are of different geographical locations pero nakakapagklase pa rin tayo. So nagkaroon na rin tayo ng borderless education. So isa yun sa advantage. Diba? Hindi na natin kailangan gumising ng maaga, hindi na natin kailangan magsumiksik sa mga jeep or makipagsiksikan sa LRT. Nga lang wala na tayong baon ngayon. So dahil sa borderless world, wala na tayong baon, no? Kasi wifi na lang, Zoom na lang, no? But 'di ba? Mas madali kasi nakakapagkita-kita tayo anytime, kahit nasa Cebu kayo or nasa Taguig kayo or saan man kayong lupalop ng mundo, nakakapagkita-kita pa din tayo. So the answer here is letter C, technological advancement. Okay, next, number 9. 21st century learning suggests the following except. Alin dito ang hindi nagsasuggest? Alin dito ang hindi nagde-describe sa 21st century learning? Is it letter A, that learning environment is beyond the walls of the classroom? Dahil sa pandemic, pinatunayan na ang learning ay hindi lamang, 'di ba, na hindi lamang sa classroom nangyayari. Anywhere pwede mangyari ang learning, no? Is it letter B? There are multiple approaches in teaching. Yes, in 21st century learning, napakaraming approaches na pwedeng tayong magamit in teaching. Hindi lang puro lecture, no? Is it letter C? Teachers are ICT equipped. So syempre, no, mawawalan ka ng trabaho ngayon kung hindi ka ICT equipped, no? So ngayon, ang pinakaunang sandata na natin ay ang internet tsaka yung device natin. Letter D, learners are attuned to rote memorization. Ngayon ba, uso pa rin ang pagme-memorize? So tatandaan ninyo, hindi lahat ng assessments na ginagamit natin sa face-to-face ay applicable pa rin ngayong remote teaching and learning. Hindi na pwede ngayon ang objective type na puro multiple choice. Kasi pwedeng mag-cheat yung mga estudyante. Mas madalas ngayon ginagamit na mga essay or performance tasks as our assessment. So hindi na uso ngayon ang rote memorization. Okay? Next, last but not the least, is the MOOC is considered as a course because pag sinabi nating MOOC, it refers to massive open online courses. Okay? So bakit daw naging course ang MOOC? Is it because letter A, meron siyang study guide na naglalaman ng mga content objectives, activities, and assessments? Or letter B, kasi binibigay siya ng isang kilalang academic institution? Or letter C, kasi prerequisite siya or required siya para magkaroon ka ng bachelor's degree? Or kaya ba tinatawag na course ang MOOC kasi graded siya? So the answer here is letter A. Sa MOOC, pinoprovidean kayo ng study guide. Kaya nga dito sa Met Hybrid, kapag nag-enroll kayo, binibigyan kayo ng courseware or course guide or study guide wherein nakaschedule doon kung ano yung topics at ano yung mga resources na pwede ninyong gamitin para ma-review kayo for specific topics, no? So the answer here is letter A. Yung letter B, it's not an answer kasi sa MOOC, pwedeng hindi academic institution ang mag-provide ng course. And merong mga courses sa MOOC na nagli-lead to bachelor's degree pero hindi lahat. At hindi rin lahat ng courses sa MOOC ay graded. So the answer here is letter A. Okay? So yan. Meron pa pala, last. Okay? So the computer unit, cable, and keyboard are referred to collectively as. So kanina pinag-usapan natin yung hardware, software, and peopleware. So pag sinabi nating hardware, nahahawakan. Pero pag sinabi naman nating software, mga instructions to or code sa computer or programs, hindi siya nahahawakan. Yung computer unit or system unit, yung cable, keyboard, ano ba siya? Okay, so the answer here is letter D, hardware. Ito yung mga parts ng computer na nahahawakan. Okay, so I think that's all for tonight. Saan na ba yun? So I think that's all for tonight. Thank you so much everyone and see you sa ating competency upgrade training. Hope you are all staying safe and well. Thank you so much everyone and bye.
Maraming salamat Sir Marc. Mga kaibigan, papuso naman para kay Sir Marc dyan. Maraming salamat Sir, ingat ka dyan.
Thank you sir.
And of course my dear friends, ang ating last lecture for this evening ay nagbabalik na isa sa mga pinaka-favorite persons ko sa Cebu, mga kaibigan. Let us all welcome Sir Englevert Reyes. Hi Englevert, kamusta? Maayong gabi.
Hi Sir EJ, maayong gabi po. Congratulations Sir Marc at Sir Knoi, no? Ang galing-galing po, no? I am sure maraming natutunan ng ating mga estudyante ngayon, no? So I'll share my screen first.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so again, happy to see you all for our second session. No, kahapon nagkita-kita na tayo. Andito na naman po ako. So let's begin. All right, first question. Teacher test is deciding on which test can serve as the most objective and standardized means of assessment for her lesson, which best suits the criterion. A, interview, B, journal, C, projects, D, test. Okay, please comment your answers. Juveline pala. No, answered letter D. All right, hello, Risha. Okay, wala pa bang ibang sagot? Okay. All right, Mami Tabs also answered D. Dwight also answered D. Okay, so I think majority answered D or chose D. Sige nga, tingnan natin yung sagot. Alright, correct po tayo, no? The answer is letter D. So I assume na medyo easy itong tanong na ito. But let's analyze, no? So ano ba yung naging clue natin? Bakit test yung naging sagot? So we have to highlight the keyword here. And the keyword that we have in the STEM or in the question is objective tsaka standardized. No? Most objective tsaka standardized. Now, bakit test yung naging sagot? When we define objective kasi, when it comes to assessment, we can only say na objective yung test kapag definite yung sagot. No? Iisa lang yung sagot. Yes or no, no, correct or not correct. No, ganun yung magiging basihan sa pag-grade. Okay? Pero when you say subjective naman, you're open to many responses. Kagaya na lang ng essay, no? So the possible responses ng bata can be as open, no? Can be as could have so many variations. Kumbaga, no? So interview, okay, so medyo open yun, magiging open yung responses, no? Iba-iba. Journal entry, magiging iba-iba rin yung entries ng mga bata. Projects can be in several forms, no, in different interpretation, no? Pero kapag test, either right or wrong lang talaga, tapos definite talaga yung sagot, right? So the answer is test. So if just a glimpse, no, of the PowerPoint that we use during the regular lecture. So ito yung kaiba ng objective sa subjective, no? Definite answer, definite yung result is objective. Pero kapag if it yields more than one way of expressing the correct answer, that becomes subjective. Okay, dito na naman tayo sa second question. The following are the pros of multiple choice tests except, all right? So again, the following are the pros, no, or the advantages, no, of multiple choice tests except. So all of these daw are advantages of multiple choice, pero may isa dito na hindi advantage ng isang multiple choice. Okay? So A, comprehensive knowledge is assessed efficiently. B, amenable to statistical analysis. C, test security is easily established. Or D, usually has high reliability. All right, sige nga, can you give me your answer? Some answered D, others answered C. All right, so Dwight answered C, Nizi, MJ answered C, Mommy Tabs answered B, Chini answered C. Okay, so the correct answer for this question is actually letter C. All right, majority got the right answer. No, test security is easily established. Hindi yan totoo, no? Now, if you look at multiple choice, right? Comprehensive knowledge is assessed efficiently. Yan yung isa sa mga advantages ng multiple choice. You can actually test from recall or knowledge level, even up to analysis level, no, or even evaluation level. No, po pwede yan under multiple choice test. So comprehensive knowledge, no, any level of knowledge, any topics, pwedeng ipasok pwedeng gamitin yung multiple choice. Amenable to statistical analysis, yes. In fact, if you want to check the reliability of a particular test, it's better if it's in the form of multiple choice kasi mas madaling ma-compute. No? May mga statistical formula tayong ginagamit para ma-compute yung reliability. Kagaya nila ng Cronbach's alpha, no, reliability test. No? Ideally, dapat multiple choice or di kaya anything na may option. No? Pwede rin true, false, no? Pwede pa rin ma-compute using Cronbach alpha reliability test. then usually has higher reliability. So it's connected to letter B. But etong test security, ito yung major issue ng multiple choice. Kasi dahil sa multiple choice, di ba, isang letra lang ang ibibigay natin na sagot bawat test number or test item. So easy to copy, no? Pwedeng makopya ng seatmate ninyo, no? Or even dun sa if you want to i-share yung answer key, no, madali lang kasi mabilis mo lang kopyahin yung answer key tapos ipapasa mo lang sa classmate. So magiging issue yung test security kapag multiple choice. Unlike essay test, 'di ba? Mahirap kopyahin kapag essay test, no? Kasi alangan naman i-copy mo yung paragraphs ng seatmate mo, 'di ba? Yung katabi mo. So hindi. So ito yung major issue kapag multiple choice test. All right, I hope that's clear. Let's proceed to the next question. What is the threshold of absences after which a learner may be given a failing grade and not earn credits for the learning area or for the subject? A, 20%, B, 75%, C, 60%, or D, 10%? Sige nga, anong sagot po natin? Okay, please comment your answer. Right. Wala pa. Letter A, no, sabi ni Shirlene, it's letter A. Sabi ni Maria, it's also letter A. Chini also answered letter A. No? Correct po kayo dyan, no? Dwight then I also answered letter A. The correct answer for this question is letter A nga. No, tama. Bakit letter A? No, so I have to be bookish, no, for this question. No, we have DepEd Order number 815, also known as the Policy Guidelines on Classroom Assessment for the K-12 Basic Education Program. Sabi dito, no, I think it's on the 8th page or 9th page, a learner who incurs absences of more than 20%. So nagiging cut off si 20%. Siya yung threshold. Kapag lampas ka ng 20% na absent ka within for the number of days, no, school days in a given school year, ibig sabihin, you will be given a failing grade, no, and not earn credits for the learning area or subject. All right? So yan yung, pero may din yan, no, exemption to the rule. Kapag nagkaroon ng valid reason talaga, halimbawa nagkasakit, no, may example terminally ill, no, or serious case of like serious health problem, no, at kailangan mo hospital for several days, no, ulit. So ayan po pwede yang ma-exempt, right? Okay, dito naman tayo sa next question. Which of the following measures of central tendency will be easily affected if there is an extreme high or extreme low score? A, mean, B, median, C, mode, or D, both the median and the mode? Can you give me your answer? Please comment your answer. Okay. A, sabi ni Shirlene, it's letter A daw, mean. Dwight also answered A. Okay, very good. So I believe this is also a very easy question. Okay, so always remember the downside or the disadvantage of using mean is that mean is easily affected by extreme scores. No? Kung skewed yung ating scores, all right? Skewed meaning to say magiging siya, no? Like more on the right or more on the left, dapat hindi natin gamitin si mean. Now, if you have your met, all right? So again, the correct answer is letter A, mean, no? Naka-highlight dyan in red. So if we look at the book, all right, the Met LEPT Reviewer for 2021, you can find the definition there of mean. At sabi dito, mean is determined by summing all the scores and dividing by the number of scores. Ibig sabihin the average. Now look at the red highlighted phrase, right? Since the mean is affected by extreme scores, it is not recommended. No? This measure of central tendency should not be the choice when the distributions are skewed. All right? So yan po yung ating basis. Now let's proceed to the next question. Which one is not a criterion reference test? A, based on standards. B, utilizes percent, correct? C, based on table of specifications, or D, utilizes percentile ranks? Please give me your answer. Alright, ano yung sagot po natin? Alin dito ang hindi criterion of sabi ni Dwight? It's letter D. Okay. Charlene, it's letter D. Wow, napaka-active, no? Ang bilis, mga keyboard warriors sila, no? Charlene, Dwight. Sabi din ni Jeneline, it's letter D. Mami Tabs, letter C. Okay, Risha, it's letter D. Sige. So, again, what is criterion reference, no? Let me reveal first the answer. All right. So, tama kayo, no? Majority of you got the right answer. The answer is letter D. Utilizing percentile ranks will not qualify as criterion reference. Instead, when we utilize percentile ranks, magiging norm reference na po siya, no? Again, if we go back to our regular lecture session, ito yung isa sa mga slides ng PowerPoint natin na ginamit po natin. Kapag criterion based, you are comparing the students' performance to the standards, or to the cutoff score and to other criteria, right? So, ayun lang talaga, may yardstick, no? Standardized na yardstick. Nagiging normative yan, or norm reference kapag you are already comparing the score of one student against the other students. All right? So yan yung basically yan lang tayo yung main idea, right? Criterion reference, you're comparing your student's performance to a given criteria or standard or cutoff score. While when say normative, you're comparing the student's score to the other scores, to the other students' scores. So again, if we look at the question, basing on standards, of course, that is very criterion reference, no? Kasi nakabase sa standards. Utilizing percent correct, so meaning to say you're just simply counting the number of correct items, all right, correct answers. So basically, kung ano talaga yung raw score, ganun talaga. So still, it's criterion reference. You're not comparing against other students' performance, no? No comparison of others' performance. Utilizing the table of specifications, still it's criterion reference. Pero kasi percentile rank, no? Do you belong in the top 10%, 1%, 99%, or no bottom 5%? So may ranking na. You are already looking at the performances of all students, and then you are ranking them based on based on the comparison. All right? So percentile rank po yun. Next question. Which of the following is true about quarterly assessment in K-12? Okay, medyo nagde-delay. Ayan. A, same percentage weight in all subjects. B, different percentage weight in all subjects. C, same percentage weight in all subjects except in grade 11 and 12. Or letter D, different percentage weight in all subjects except in grades 11 and 12. All right, can you tell us your answer? Okay, letter C, right? So Jill answered C, Dwight answered C, Charlene, Chini, Kimberly, and Maria, and Clarice answered letter C. Okay, so tama po kayo. It is same percentage weight in all subjects except sa grades 11 and 12 na pa-iba-iba yung percentage weight for the quarterly assessment. Now, as a proof, I'll show you the actual DepEd order. So again, we refer back to DepEd order number 8, series of 2015. So kita natin dito sa table 4, weight of the components for grades 1 to 10. So if you can see, quarterly assessment put inside sa red box. Okay? Grades 1 to 10 po ito. Look at quarterly assessment. Di ba? 20% in all subjects from grades 1 to 10, no, for the quarterly assessment. But if you look at the senior high, all right, grades 11 to 12, ano nakikita natin? Diba? Pa-iba-iba. Kung core subjects, 25% ang weight ng quarterly assessment. Quarterly assessment, by the way, is like periodical exam or major exam. And then all other subjects under academic track, 30%. Pero kapag ano siya, work, immersion, research, 25%, okay, 25%. Pero sa TechVoc naman, iba rin, no? 20% yung weight ng quarterly assessment. So you see, it's similar. The weight of the quarterly assessment remains the same from grades 1 to 10 across all subjects. Pero pagdating sa senior high, grades 11 to 12, depending on the subjects, paiba-iba na yung ating weight for the quarterly assessment. Okay, so I hope you're learning, no? Next question. Which of the following can be considered a criterion reference statement? A, Abigail was able to type 30 words in 1 minute. B, John earned the highest score in math. C, Ronnie completed the task faster than his classmates. Or letter D, James scored higher than half of the class. So ano yung sagot natin? Charlene. Wow, top 1 naman si Charlene, no? Letter A, Jill answered A, Chinny answered A, Dwight answered A, Risha A, John A, Ellen A. So majority of you answered letter A. So ano ba talaga yung ating correct answer dito? You are right. No, all of you got the right answer, and it's letter A. Abigail was able to type 30 words in 1 minute. So again, paano ba natin makonsider na ito ay criterion reference? Kapag nakabase siya sa set na standards. Alright? So, yung ito, chini-check ni sa situation letter A, Abigail was able to type 30 words in 1 minute. Ano lang talaga, no? It is simply describing how Abigail is performing based on time. Okay? But we are not comparing Abigail against other students. As compared to letter B, C, and D. John earned the highest score. So, ibig sabihin, nagkaroon ng comparison, no? Of all the students in this class, si John yung may pinaka mataas na scores sa math. No? So you're comparing. That's normative already, no? Norm reference. Ronnie completed the task faster than his classmates. So, ayan, makikita natin na nagkaroon ng comparison against his classmates, no? Faster daw. So still, it's norm reference letter C. How about letter D? James' score is higher than half. So again, you're comparing James against the other students' performance. Therefore, B, C, and D are all norm reference except letter A na criterion reference. All right. Next question. What should teacher Joyce do to ensure the validity of the performance assessment she's planning to conduct? A, ensure that instructions are clear. B, establish passing score. C, do a pretest. Or D, establish clear set of criteria. Sige nga, please turn your answers. Okay, letter D, sabi ni Robert, sabi ni Dwight, letter D. Jill also answered letter D. All right, Aiza also answered letter D. Jenon answered letter D. All right, so I believe medyo walang kahirap-hirap tong tanong na ito. Tama po kayo, the answer is letter D, establish, no? A clear set of criteria. Okay? Now, bakit? Again, ano ba yung keyword sa STEM? Okay? The keyword is validity. No? Paano natin malalaman na valid yung isang assessment? So again, what is validity? If we look at our definition of validity again, so validity is checking, no, or looking at the extent to which a test measures what it intends to measure or what it claims to measure. No? So when you say validity, you're looking at the appropriateness, no? Kung appropriate ba yung assessment ninyo sa topic, no, or sa lesson or sa subject matter. So yan po yung validity. So if we look at the question, we can only ensure or guarantee na valid yung assessment natin kapag sang-ayon po siya, naka-align po siya dun sa ating criteria or objectives. All right, lesson objectives. Okay, so I think that's very clear. Next question. An essay test is most appropriate when, right? An essay test is most appropriate when A, a considerable number of test items need to be graded. B, instructional objectives specify high-level cognitive processes. Or C, test security is not a problem. Or D, class size is a consideration. Charlene answered B. Mami Tabs answered B. May answered B. And Chini also answered B. Tama ba na essay test becomes appropriate kapag instructional objectives specify high-level cognitive processes? No? So I think majority answered B. And the correct answer is letter B. Bakit B? No? Siguro sasabihin natin, B kasi siya yung pinakamahaba, sir. Alright, so hindi po dahil mahaba, but because of the explanation itself, no? We only use essay test kapag high level ang nire-require natin na cognitive processes, right? So halimbawa, 'di ba sa Bloom's taxonomy? Kita ko po sa inyo yung Bloom's taxonomy. So this is the revised, no, Bloom. So create, evaluate, analyze, apply, understand, remember. So kapag remember lang, 'di ba? Remember lang, recall. So alangan naman essay test ang ibibigay natin, no? 'Di ba? Kung tanong mo lang is sino yung national hero of the Philippines, 'di ba? So hindi. We use essay kapag andun sa higher order thinking skills na pwedeng apply, analyze, evaluate, or create. Okay? Pero kapag understand lang, remember, no? So you better use multiple choice, no? Identification, true false test, matching type, no? Kapag low level, low order thinking skills. And base din sa ating slides, no, sa PowerPoint naka-indicate din dito, no? Tingnan natin, no? Tingnan niyo po yung nakalagay sa box. Okay? 'Di ba? Sabi dito, kapag factual knowledge, you can use multiple choice, true false, matching type, sentence completion, or short answer test. Pero kapag aabot na sa application, aabot na sa evaluation level, pwede pong gumamit ng essay. So doon na tayo, mag-essay na po tayo. Alright, so I hope that's clear. No, I hope that's crystal clear. Okay, so next question. What is the most true about the relationship between the STEM, item STEM, and the alternatives? A, most of the information of the problem should be found in the STEM. B, most of the information of the problem should be contained in the alternatives. C, most of the information of the problem should be divided between the STEM and the alternatives. Or letter D, make longer alternatives and shorter stems. Charlene answered A, Jill answered A, Kimberly answered A, Demi answered A, Dwight also answered A. Correct, no? But parang lahat kayo, no? Parang perfect ata yung mga sagot ninyo po. The answer is correct. No, that should be letter A. Most of the information of the problem should be found in the STEM. Although not at all times, pero sabi kasi sa tanong, most true, no? Meaning to say, not always true, but oftentimes, or most of the time, true. And of course, kapag, multiple choice, bakita naman natin na kapag multiple choice, yung STEM, ano ba yung STEM? Di ba yung STEM yung question, no? Yung tanong. So, yung STEM should be longer as compared to the options or to the alternatives, no? As compared to A, B, C, and D, no? Mas mahaba dapat yung kasi andun na naka-contain na most of the information doon sa STEM, doon sa tanong, right? Okay. All right, so I think that's it, no? Medyo quick lang po ang ating discussion, no? So thank you. Back to you, Sir EJ. I hope you've learned something from me. Good night, everyone.
Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat from Cebu. And sana talagang marami kayong natutunan sa ating last day ng ating free mini coaching series dito sa Facebook. At mga kaibigan, papuso naman po sa ating mga lecturers for this evening. Kay Sir Knoi, maraming salamat. Kay Sir Marc, maraming salamat. At kay Sir Englevert, maraming salamat. And please, mga kaibigan, mga reminders lang po, ang ating CUT ay magaganap mula September 10 hanggang September 21. So, mag-enroll na po tayo, mga kaibigan. For more information, mga kaibigan, punta lang po sa ating MET Facebook page. Nakapost mo doon ang mga instructions kung paano nga ba makisama sa amin sa aming CUT sa darating na September 10 hanggang 21. Now mga kaibigan, also kung di pa kayo nakakapag-subscribe, punta lang po sa YouTube and please subscribe to our Met YouTube channel. Now mga kaibigan, thank you very much for being with us and we are so excited to see you sa ating CUT sessions again on September 10 to 21. Maraming salamat Ma'am Jenny for staying sa ating chat room. Maraming salamat again sa ating mga lecturers. Maraming salamat kay Ate Clarissa and syempre mga kaibigan, maraming salamat sa inyo, sa aming mga viewers. And after this, my dear friends, kung meron kayong na-miss o meron kayong hindi nadinig, balikan lang po. You may rewatch this video sa Facebook at syempre sa ating YouTube channel. Now mga kaibigan, alam ko gabi na. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everybody, and good night. Maraming salamat everyone. Bye. See you soon po. Enroll na po tayo sa ating CUT. Bye po. Good evening everybody. Maraming salamat. Pa-share po ang video natin sa inyong mga social media platforms. Happy Sunday everybody. Bye.